It's time for How to Grow It with Keith Funk, garden expert, author, radio and TV garden show host. Keith and his guest garden pros are here to help you with all your lawn and garden questions. You'll have the best yard in town thanks to How to Grow It with the pros.
It's time for another episode of How to Grow It with the Pros. Hi, I'm your show host, Keith Funk, and today's garden question was sent in by Tom, a listener from Columbus, Ohio. He wants to know what kind of a fertilizer he can use on his lawn, flowers, and vegetables that is kid-friendly and pet-safe. Well, Tom, it's your lucky day because joining me today in the studio is the guru of grass from Revive, John Eden. And together we're going to dig into this problem and come up with some solutions for you. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Keith. How are you?
Great. Thank you for coming into the studio today. Now, I'd like you to tell folks about Revive so that they understand why I've invited you in here today.
Sure. Revive's been a product made, for over 30 years now out west. And we make the granules with organic particles. Really, it's chicken manure that's been processed, if you will, so it's very safe. No bacteria in it. It's been cooked in a furnace at a very high temperature. So we take that, add our Revive ingredients, which are iron, surfactants, which is wetting agents to make water wetter, and some organic matter that helps stimulate the microbes in the soil. What you're left with is a wonderful organic fertilizer with some extra goodies in it.
So that way everybody understands why you're here today, helping me answer this question for our buddy out there in Ohio, Tom. And now he wants to know what kind of a fertilizer he can use in his lawn and flower and vegetable gardens that's safe for his kids and pets. And it sounds to me like Revive is the answer.
You know, we're living more in a green world. You hear that all the time, and I think there's more emphasis from certain homeowners that have a situation in their backyard where their kids and pets are playing. They're more concerned about what they apply, and Revive can relieve and ease those worries and anxieties. They'll know that they're putting down a quality product to get them the good results with their turf, but also in their vegetable and flower gardens as well.
Now, this would be the granular Revive that we're talking about right now.
Yes.
As far as the fertilizer portion of it.
Yes.
And that's just put down with the regular fertilizer spreader, and the same way in the vegetable and flower gardens?
Yeah, I can just either hand apply it around my plants or continue with the spreader if it will allow that operation.
And just water it in good. And how often should they reapply, do you think?
You know, depending upon how often or how hard, the soils are there and how much the water is being applied, I would say on average about 6 weeks.
Now, if Tom had decided that he's going to use some other kind of organic fertilizer, I would think that the liquid Revive would be a great supplement for pretty much any fertilizer program.
Oh, yeah. You know, most fertilizers get tied up in the soil, at least some of them do. And so that fertilizer is sitting there, but the root can't absorb it. So when you apply the liquid Revive, it's like STP for your fuel additive in your gasoline tank. It's going to take that fertilizer, make it more available. You'll get a bigger bang out of your fertilizer buck. And what you'll see after repeated usage, you can fertilize less often because what you're doing is feeding the soil, which feeds the plant.
Well, and roots are everything. Let's face it, whether it's your turf or your flowers or your vegetables, if you don't have a good root system, you're not going to have good top growth.
That's where it all starts, at the bottom.
At the bottom, from the bottom up, right? I like that a lot. So, Tom, out there in Columbus, I hope that answers your questions about how to use or what kind of a fertilizer to use for kid and pet friendly. If you're looking for that sort of a fertilizer, make sure it doesn't have any insecticides, fungicides in it, weed killers in it. And in my mind, Revive is just a great way to go because it covers all your bases, and you get the benefit of the dry fertilizer, and you also get the benefit of the liquid surfactants and humates to get that water down nice and deep and get a nice deep root system on your plants.
And the addition of the iron gives you that dark, rich color, which is the envy of anybody's neighborhood.
Oh, exactly. That's perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us today in the studio. John, anything else you want to add to that before we go?
You know, we talked to thousands of homeowners at different trade shows, and I know that Revive, and it amazes me after 30 years how many problems this continues to solve. New ones all the time that I've not seen. So go to our website, revive.com. You can see it, read it for yourself. Also, Facebook, there's some wonderful, amazing before and after photos from our customers.
Well, I know I use it myself in my own backyard because I have spots that dry out faster than other areas, and this really helps keep the entire yard looking at that nice green, nice consistent green throughout. So thanks again for joining us, John, and thank you, the listener, for joining us. Stay tuned for another program.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of How to Grow It with garden expert Keith Funk. Get all your lawn and garden questions answered listening to Keith and his Garden Pro guests. You'll have the best yard in town thanks to How to Grow It with the pros.